If there's one thing I've learned after 3 years of absolute silence, no conversations, no messages, not a single touch of human skilling, it's this. Loneliness doesn't kill you. It kills the illusions you used to have about yourself. You thought you were strong because you had friends. You thought you were happy because someone listened. You thought you were a good person. Only because you were never left alone long enough for the rot inside you to crawl to the surface. I know that feeling. The feeling of sitting alone in a dark room, listening to the fan spin like a dull blade slicing through time and wondering, if I disappeared right now, would anyone even notice? The answer is no. And that is the beginning. Because once you stop waiting for salvation, you begin to understand something. Loneliness is not a shackle, it's a knife. And if you learn how to hold it, you're no longer the victim. You become the executioner. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to forge your loneliness into a weapon. One that will make the entire world kneel before your silence. You're about to unlock a secret society has tried to bury, that the lonely one, if not broken, becomes the destroyer. That room still haunts your memory? For sterile white walls, no art, no posters, a cold wooden desk pressed against the window. No one walks by, no one knocks, no one needs you. 7 p.m. You shut your phone off hours ago. No messages. You know it, but still some poisoned part of you wants to check one last time, just to confirm the world has truly forgotten you exist. Every sound outside feels like it's happening on another planet. Laughter, dates, food, deliveries, and there you sit, tracing a crack in the ceiling with your eye, as if it is writing a story just for you, a story you not allowed to interrupt. You don't cry. You've got no tears left. Only slow, deliberate breaths, and one venomous thought seeps from your chest. If I can't belong to anyone, I'll make sure no one belongs to themselves anymore. From that moment on, loneliness isn't an emotion. It becomes a strategic state. You begin to observe. People are terrified of being alone, terrified of being left behind, terrified of not being loved. And because of that fear, they barter away pieces of themselves. A forced compliment to be accepted. A betrayal of self just to belong. They call it maturity. You call it emotional slavery. And you've crossed that threshold. No need to please. No instinct to connect. No craving for affection. There's only one question left. How do you turn what everyone fears into the ultimate weapon to dismantle the very structure they depend on? You start your experiment, not with bullet, but with perfect disappearance. You drop out of every group chat. No interactions, no debates, no scene without reply, no cold, I don't care reply. You simply vanish. And then something strange begins to happen. People start messaging more. Worry, confusion. They can't handle your absence. Not because they cared, but because you were their mirror. Now that you're gone, you've become hunger. You don't need to move a finger. Your absence is enough. That hunger eats them day after day. One night, you step out after weeks locked inside. The city is the same, but you are not. You look at people like ghosts who haven't realized they died long ago. Their eyes are frantic. They stare at phones more than each other. No conversation, just memes, reactions. You don't hate them anymore. You understand them. And that is why you will shatter this fragile world with the one thing they can't tolerate, the absence of connection. Step by step, you forge a digital replica of yourself, not to be present, but to lead others astray. An anonymous account, fake messages, cold comments that stab the psychological wounds of souls starving for empathy. No one knows who you are, but everyone feels the cut. You plant seeds of doubt in their minds. Am I really important? Am I being left behind? Am I losing myself just to be seen? And as panic sets in, you retreat quietly. No explanations. No apologies. No looking back. You sever every rope of connection like a silent assassin cutting out the heartbeats of a crowd choking on illusions. By now, loneliness is no longer a state. It's a chemical weapon. Odorless, colorless, soundless. But once it seeps into the mind, it detonates the soul from within. And you think, I am no longer the lonely one. I am the sewer of loneliness. That is when the world truly begins to collapse. They said you're lonely because you're not social, because you don't open up, because you're hard to approach. The biggest lie this world ever invented is, good people always have friends. And you believed it naive, just like the rest of them. You used to think, if I spoke more charmingly, I'd get invited. If I acted more politely, I'd be accepted. If I pretended to be happy, someone would love me. You tried, God, you tried. And what did it get you? You were still the one forgotten at the end of the party. Still the one no one remembered on your birthday. Still the one treated like furniture nice to have, but no one noticed as when it's gone. That's when it hit you. Loneliness didn't come because you weren't good enough. It came because you weren't fake enough. This world doesn't want your truth. It wants your nod, your smile, your compliance, your role in the pathetic little play that everyone's performing just to get through the day you refused. And that's when you were erased. No one kicked you out. They just stopped seeing you. And slowly, you vanished. No calls, no needs, no memory. At first you screamed. Then you went silent. And then you started to listen. A new voice emerged. Low, slow, ruthless, he whispered. If I can't live in their world, then I'll make that world unlivable. You started watching again, not with your eyes, with your instinct. You saw the guy who laughs loudest at the bar go home and stare blankly at the ceiling. You saw the girl who posts living her best life every day with eyes emptier than watered down wine. You saw crowds preaching mental health and self, but none of them could sit still alone in a room for 6 straight hours without losing their minds. They're not healthier than you. They're just better at hiding. They live in a world of 24/7 connection, and yet they're dying every second for lack of anything real. They laugh all day, but panic if no one texts them at night. They cling to each other like algae, like trash. Not out of love, but because they're terrified of drowning in the silence of their own presence. And you, the lonely one, the castaway, the outsider they once pitied, you've become the only one who needs nothing. No validation, no friendships, no one to understand you. You are the first crack in the psychological fortress of modern society. You are the question they don't dare answer. If no one loves you, do you still exist? You answered, and your answer was silence. Silence not as surrender, but as a weapon. An emptiness sharp enough to sever dependency, shatter fakery, and slice through humanity's pathetic hunger to be adored. A silence more terrifying than any scream. Your disappearance, because now you no longer need anyone to listen. And that is exactly why they can't stop listening to you. And you know this. And you don't forgive to weaponize loneliness. You must stop treating it like a curse. The weak call it sadness. The wise call it data. Because only in solitude do you see clearly, peeling back every mask you've ever worn and choosing with brutal finality to where none. No more I'm a nice guy. No more I'm lovable. No more. Please forgive me. Only this remains. I am the one who needs no forgiveness. You start by cutting, not your wrists, but the fake knee. You delete your contacts. No more polite check-ins. You turn off notifications. No more reacting to the pings like Pavlov's dog. You put your phone on silent. Just like your presence, you don't respond, you don't reply quickly, you stretch time like a noose tightening around the necks of those addicted to your validation. At first, it hurts like a junkie deep, but then you realize you don't need dopamine, you need control. And you take it back, second by second, through silence, through becoming your own unshakable source of power. Day by day, you sit in the cold room, writing your thoughts down, not to be read, not to be agreed with, but to prove you exist without an audience. You train your mind by walking into darkness and staying longer than anyone else ever dared. No light, no music, no healing podcasts, only breath and a heartbeat like a beast sleeping beneath your ribs. You learn to coexist with emptiness, not patch it up. You learn to let hunger pierce you without rushing to feed it. You learn to hold eye contact without needing it returned. That's when loneliness mutates. It stops being a feeling. It becomes strength. You step out of that room after 6 months. No welcome. No witnesses. You walk past the dopamine dead eyes, glued to screens, souls drowning in 15-second bursts of cheap laughter. And you, with dead eyes and no smile, are stronger than all of them because they can't stand being alone. But you are aloneness incarnate. You speak less, you listen more, not out of politeness, but to dissect. You see men posing in mirrors, scraping for scraps of self. You see women auctioning fragments of their souls, one filtered image at a time, begging for a second of attention. You see a society building its own prison out of dopamine and locking the door from the inside. You don't kick the door down. You say nothing. You just stand outside, silent, watching. And that's when the panic starts. Because your silence roars louder than all their noise. You've crossed the threshold. You're no longer the lonely one. You're the frequency of silence this entire world can't bear to face. Because you are the unspoken reminder that if someone can live without being loved, then that someone can never be controlled. And this world only survives by control. Now you understand. You're not alone because you're ugly. You're not abandoned because you're worthless. You're alone because you're real in a world that survives on pretending. Loneliness is not a curse. It's proof that you haven't been assimilated. You are the foreign body. You are the crack. You are the last immune response in a society rotting from within. Those who once turned their backs on you, they're gasping for air now. Not because you became famous, not because you became rich, but because you stopped needing them. Your existence became a weapon. You don't scream, you don't preach, you just stand there, a mirror reflecting what they've spent their whole lives trying to ignore. They are trash. You, the one who ate alone, slept alone, laughed in silence, and drifted like a ghost, have become the static that shakes the system to its core. Because you live outside their definition. Not charming, not forgivable, not programmed, not waiting to be understood. You are raw will compressed over 1,000 nights with no one there. Through every message left unread, through every time you stared into the mirror and saw a monster, then smiled and accepted it. You no longer need love. You're the thing that makes love chase you. You don't need society. You are the first fracture that makes society crumble. You don't need to be heard because everything left in this world is just a faint echo of your silence. And when the world finally drops to its knees, when all the noise dies out, when everything slips into paralysis because no one dares to speak anymore, they will hear me. And I will speak not with shouting, not with debate, not needing anyone's approval. I am the part of you that you cannot deny. You can't kill me. You can't stop me. The only thing you can do is listen.